The content presented in this podcast series, inclusive of text, graphics, images, or other material, is intended for general information purposes only. The information presented is not intended to substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You are advised to seek medical advice from a trained or qualified medical professional before introducing new items into your diet or healthcare regimen.
Welcome to the Christmas edition of the Herbal Spot, where we chat with persons in our community who embrace our local plants in everyday living for health, business, and also research. Today, our guest is Bernice Chase, co-director of J&P Farms Limited, located at Neil's Plantation. Bernice is a well-known winner at the annual National Independence Festival of Creative Arts culinary competition here in Barbados, being recognized for her innovative methods at agro-processing. She has the honor of claiming 15 gold awards spread across all food categories, including preserves, sauces, baked goods, wines, beverages, and many more. I became fascinated with Bernice at our initial symposium in 2019, which looks at plants and planting for the future, and certainly the embracing of innovative techniques. And I found out that Bernice has this innovative way of curing our local fruits for her special Christmas baking instead of using the imported dried fruits that we find at our local supermarkets. First of all, I want to welcome you, Bernice.
Thank you.
So this is my first question for you, Bernice. What really motivated you to look at our local fruits in this way and see them as an alternative to the imported versions?
Besides seeing a lot of our fruits go to waste, under the trees as you drive by and so on, I strongly believe that we should eat what we grow, and that what is grown where we live should be our primary source of food. So I think that just knowing that we have so much fruit and ground provision, we have the capacity to grow our own food, that to me was motivation enough. But besides that, I visited the US between I would say 95 to most recently, but in 2005, that was a year that I would say kind of like cemented in me that we really should be eating more of our own foods and try to, make the best of what we have. My mom's boss back in 2005 took me a morning very early, it could have been about 6 o'clock, to a Jewish bakery where he picked up the bread they call challah. One of their holidays, they celebrate with that bread by breaking that bread and eating it. Now, when he brought back that bread to the house and I tasted the bread, it tasted so good that, I probably ate most of the bread. And when I came back home, I missed the bread. So I wanted to recreate the bread, and I did. But then it dawned on me that I can make it Barbadian. I can make it a Bajan challah. So I use breadfruit in place of flour. Well, the first one that I did, I actually used the breadfruit and a little bit of the white flour. And that was to, for persons who were coming down from eating too much flour, they can incorporate like ground provision into the bread. So when I did that, that bread taste, the texture of it was really good. The smell of it was, like the breadfruit coming through there, and it smelled so good. And then when I tasted it, I said, well, this is the bomb, So that was my bread. And the breadfruit bread was the first bread that I sent to NIFCA. And when it won the gold, I just didn't stop there. I then started doing all sorts of other things with different fruits, different vegetables, incorporating, like I did a yam pone. You understand? And people were like amazed. And I made the gooseberry raisins from our local Caribbean gooseberry. Okay? And I remember when I entered that into NIFCA, I showed it to a lady who I was trying to coax into coming into NIFCA. So when I showed her the gooseberry raisins, she looked at it, she said, what are you doing with those raisins? I said, look at it closely. She said, that is not gooseberry. I said, yes. She said, you sat down and took all of those seeds? And I said, yes. So it's being motivated by the awards and so on. The mere fact that we can, I can use what I see growing around me to feed my family, that is motivation enough. And I can say that with the advent of COVID, we all should be motivated enough to try and eat what we have growing here, because there is a time such as now where we need to.
Yes, I quite agree. Yes, I quite agree, Bernice. These are the ideas and ideals that we have to promote, considering how we have been impacted by the pandemic and the likelihood that we have further impacts when we look at the outfall of climate change from a global perspective. And as you know and well support, that the nonprofit Biocultural Education and Research Program is working within that sphere of arming our population.
Definitely.
Yes, to understand the importance of this. So I have to admit that I am a big fan of all that you do. That bread that you described, the first time I had that bread, I was absolutely amazed by the texture and flavor and aroma as you described. And I am looking forward to getting my bread for Christmas dinner.
I'm actually in the process right now of making the breadfruit cakes this week. The breadfruit grape cake.
Yes.
Potato grape cake, yam, and cassava.
Fantastic. That's why
so those are being baked this.
Great. That's why I saw Christmas edition, because I know that you will be in the act of preparing all of your treats, and this would have been a good time to capture you as you are making your preparation.
Yes, definitely.
So we know that
right
here on island, and I do believe across the Caribbean, is where we put our fruits to soak, as we call it, within.
Right.
Yes. So how do you approach that as you are incorporating these local dry fruits that you're using?
Okay, well, how I came about using the fruits that I'm using, the second year that I entered NIFCA, I was actually making a roll-up. So it was pastry rolled with jam rolled in it. But I didn't just want to use any kind of jam from off the shelf. I wanted to make my own kind of spread. So I incorporated guava, mango. It was guava, mango, pawpaw. There were 5 fruits that I put together, and I baked them. Right, I put it in food processor and just added a little sugar. I didn't have to add I probably for that, I think it was about 3 pounds of fruit, and I added it was half cup of sugar. So I mix all that up, put it in the oven, let it bake, because I said, well, that will give me the jam texture that I wanted. And so I took it out when it was done, tasted it, and this thing tasted so heavenly that I bottled it. I said, this going in the roll up, yes, but the fruit going in a bottle by itself, and I sending that to Nifka, and that's exactly what I did. And it got a gold, right? I recognize right away when I'm done with a product if it's going to get a gold or not, and I'm always spot on. So that got a gold, and it tasted as if it can go into cake. Okay, so that year, all my cakes were made from that fruit. So I still do that. But if you have fruit, say you start off in January or so, and you have dunks, because right now we have a dunk tree, and it's going to come in January, February. And so we pick those dunks, and I start to process them right away. So you can actually just put dunks with sugar in a bucket or a bottle, whatever, and you will see that sugar preserves the dunks, and you can actually use that dunks in December as part of your fruit cake. So throughout the year, I would process whatever fruit is in season at the time, and then I can incorporate them all together in December. So you can have the carambola, you can cut that up and do the same thing with the dunk, just add sugar to it. And I can always show persons how to do that. Right, so it's the carambola, you have mango, you have golden apple, you have Bajan cherries. Oh yeah, that was one of the other the other fruit I was trying to remember. So the Bajan cherries, there's mulberries that we have as well. Mulberry is an outside fruit, but it growing here in Barbados is Bajan now. Right? Then there's a plum rose or pomerat in St. Vincent, where I was born. My grandmother had a tree, and a lot of those trees are in the island here. And also it's Bajan. Okay, it's growing here, it's Bajan. So all those fruits, I would accumulate them throughout the year. You know, when they come into season, I always have fruit in and out of season. Right now I have golden apples. I have mango, there's even tamarind. I have all those things in my freezer. Okay, and it is so easy, and to me it adds the flavor of the great cake is almost like the traditional one, but to me it's more flavorful because it has a lot more flavor because of the variety of fruits. And you can actually taste the flavors, you know. So, and I believe it's also healthier. It has in a lot of micronutrients. The traditional great cake might just be cherries, dates, and raisins, right? If you want to, you can still put those things in, but you don't have to when you have processed all of your Bajan fruits. You don't have to. You don't need them. Yeah. And that's how we can cut down also on our import bill.
Yes. All very exciting to hear. And I hope the listeners are really taking to heart how you have fully embraced all that we find around us. I have an issue with this. I know from a child up to where I now stand, having celebrated a birthday for our independence and now Republic Day, that we see our trees and the fruits that they bear, not as we did before. I remember as a child,
right,
that our summers were spent foraging these trees, you know.
Yes.
And our gooseberries and our all Bajan, our West Indian cherry or tamarind, you know,
right,
or akis. I remember a neighbor having an ackee tree that would have its branches, growing over my grandmother's wall. And I would be in great anticipation
Yes. So those are
of when those akis
yours.
ready for me to collect. And we would collect great bags of these things and sit and just gorge ourselves. So our young people are not doing these anymore because, you can open a fridge and find grapes, I suppose. They're not in the outdoors as they used to be. And therefore, we have to provide a pathway for them to reconnect, and requires that we replant, that we have the trees there. If we're giving them the stories, then we need to provide the landscape for them to interface and interact with. So
most definitely.
It has to include a replanting program. I remember once going to an official within the scope of planting food. I'll just put it that way. And I made this a concern that we are really losing our fruit trees because we're not using them, and the interest is waning because, I was told at that time that being somewhat alarmist, that it was not an issue, but it definitely is an issue. I have seen a gooseberry tree in decades, and that's what excited me.
Wow.
Told me that you actually find the gooseberries, and not only find them, that you have embraced their value for food and nutrition purposes.
Yeah.
I consider you a very important person within this whole.
Thank you.
Yes, within
you
this
are too
domain.
Because of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But it is my work to have persons like yourself celebrated and for our people to know about you. So let us get back to Christmas. We know that sorrel is in our food culture. I want to know, what do you do with sorrel? Because I know that you also produce wines and liqueurs. So how do you embrace sorrel for Christmas?
Sorrel is very versatile, right? Besides doing the wines and ordinary drink from the sorrel, you can, while you're making your drink, there's a byproduct that you can make, which is jam, right? Or spread. You can also use this the setup for your fruit mints for Christmas cake, right? So the sorrel here, we don't lose any part of the sorrel at all. We keep the seeds for replanting, and we use the petals to make our drink, and our wines, and then it goes into the mints. You see, so. And when you pull up the sorrel plant, the sheep eats that. So nothing is wasted.
Yes.
Nothing is wasted.
Beautiful and cyclic.
And
this is the sustainable method. So this is
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there's so much that we can do with the different plants. Like the animals eat what is left back, you understand? Then the manure from the animal goes back into the ground. You need to have that sort of cycling going on, in order for it to be sustainable, right? So we eat, the animals eat, goes back into the ground, then we come back and we eat again, you understand? So we need to have this process. We need for the children to understand how this works, how this integrated system works.
Yes.
In order for us to be sustainable, because we're gonna have to. Well, right now I'm actually teaching some youngsters, but they're like between 16 and 20 years old. I think we need to start even younger, right? So the little kindergarten children and the primary school age children, if we start to instill things in them right now, then we won't have such a big problem later.
Yes.
Right. So you know, with whatever time we have left, I think that our resources and, you know, our knowledge and so on should be passed on to these young ones so that they will stand a chance, you know, to become adults.
Yes,
proper adults.
Well said, Bernice. So also now, as we're sticking with Christmas and our baking and our preparation for Christmas dinner with family and friends, we know that Barbadians Barbadians love to have sauces around, as your plate is not finished unless there's some kind of sauce that will complement the composition of the meal. So what are some of the sauces that you have in local fruits / vegetables?
I have mango, golden apple. Those are you can have a sweet and sour sauce. You can have a mango sauce. There's a tamarind. There's a gourmet tamarind sauce as well. These sauces can also, and they're barbecue sauces. So we can have, the mango can give you a regular mango sauce, a barbecue sauce, or a sweet and sour sauce, right? There's so the mango can do that. The cherry can do that. The pawpaw can do that. The carambola can do that. As a matter of fact, the carambola also has a duck sauce, right? So there's so many. There's so many sauces. But if you're gonna have, say, ham, right? The mango goes good with ham. It also goes good with chicken. The carambola actually goes good with the duck, right? Because I actually made that to go with the duck, and it also goes well with fish. So it's up to you. You know, you would taste and pair off the meats with the sauces. We have some salsas made from pumpkin, and people might be amazed. There was a guy who had come in he's a chef from Scotland, who came in to test some of my products in 2016 it was. He just flew in to test them and go back out. So when he came, he actually tasted the pumpkin salsa, and he shocked me when he said, "Oh, this will go really great with ice cream and some kind of other cake." And I was blown back by what he said, and he actually tried it and it tasted good, you know. There's so much, but for me right now, just enjoying a meal with family, you know, at Christmas with all the local stuff that we have here, would be good enough for me. I wish I could share all of what I know with Barbados, because I know that Barbados would benefit definitely from what little knowledge I have, because I don't think I have that much knowledge. I know that there's some there, but whatever it is, I would like to share it.
Yes. I've said it before. I consider you really an important resource as we look inward and see how we can look at boosting our economy. We depend a lot on tourism, and I continue to argue that we need to offer the tourist who comes to the island is a true taste of the flavor of Barbados. And that should include not only visiting a restaurant, maybe and having a meal, but exposure to a deeper exposure to our food culture and the innovation that is within that
local home food.
Yes, and I think that you are a model for developing such ideas and products. And as you know, we're working together. We started with our the Farmer's Kitchen, which we did 3 episodes, which I think were extremely important. Persons who are interested can go to
Spectacular.
Agricultural Education and Research Program, being held at the Squarespace domain. And once you plug that in, you are going to get into the link to our website, and you can go to the Farmer's Kitchen on the website and have a view of those 3 episodes. We see the Farmer's Kitchen as something that is to be expanded, and we are going to work to make Bernice J&P Farms a model as we look to the future in Barbados and the diversification of our economy. So, and yes, I want to do that. If you hear a tap on your door, an unexpected tap on your door on Christmas Day, then it's going to be me. Because I
and you're welcome.
I'm coming to sample all of these
Yes.
I'm hearing. So I think that
yes, of course,
he's given us a mouthful, not to make a pun, but I really a lot to think on. And again, I celebrate your craft, your innovation, and your willingness to share, which is something that I also appreciate very much in terms of work. Is there any special message that you would like our audience to have as we close our segment, our Christmas segment?
Well, I want to wish everybody a very good and safe Christmas. I pray that, whatever you do for your Christmas dinner would be satisfying. I just wish you all the best for the coming year.
Thank you so much, Bernice, for spending time with us.
Thank you.
For really getting us excited about Christmas dinner.
You're welcome.
And trying new things.
You're most welcome.
Yes, thank you. Incorporate our local fruits and vegetables, and being creative in what we present for families and friends over our Christmas dinner. For me, Christmas is just about that. It's about sharing with family and friends, enjoying, what we have been creative at producing, and having a chat. And I think that's even more important now, seeing that we have been forced to be separated from each other for lengthy periods on end. And I think that our Christmas meetings must mean so much more when we have them this year around. So I also want to extend greetings to our listening audience. This has been Series 1 of the Herbal Spot, and we chose again to have another way of interfacing with our public. We really do appreciate your support. We do have a real passion about the value of traditional knowledge and how that is linked to our local plant biodiversity. Series 2 is going to see us going across the Caribbean. We're going to have guests from the Bahamas, from Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Vincent, and we hope Dominic as well, and likely others. So I want to wish all of you well for the remainder of 2021. Continue to be safe, and we will be back in 2022.